Black check marks.
Okay, call committee meeting to order, please. I know there's a couple things that we need to address. A couple things I need to address first. There's some mistakes on the agenda. We have to go through this during committee, and then where they're already on the agenda, we need to put them in additions. Okay, it's my fault. And with that, I want to remind everybody of this. If you're a chairperson of a committee or anyone else that needs an ordinance or would like to work on one, we need to enter, if it's for March 14th, we need to talk about it tonight. We don't need phone calls 4 or 5 days before. Amy's new. She's not skilled at writing ordinances. Yet. Bob's going to make sure she gets skilled. So the last few days have been a cluster. And when I get these phone calls, I myself get messed up. So we need to take into consideration what's going on here. Because we have to pull one tonight because it's not written properly. And honestly, that should happen on a rare occasion. And it's happened twice, I think, in the last 2 or 3 meetings where we've had to make amendments because they're not written correctly. We need to discuss those things. Okay, so I'm just asking, and if you email Amy, CC me. So I'm at least in the loop, and I know what's going on. That's all I'm asking. Because it does, if you think being a clerk is easy, I'm sure Amy would already trade you spots. Because there's a lot of, I never talked to Amy Shutt so much in the last 3 weeks in my 22 years here in Coshocton. And I coach her son. So I'm just asking for a little consideration here. Then if there needs to be a standalone meeting, we can just say, hey, like I know we're going to get to it. If there needs to be a standalone meeting, then if it's infrastructure, then infrastructure is probably deals with ordinances. So it's probably somebody from the ordinance committee needs to be included in that, not after we leave here and then say, hey, we need a meeting, and then try to circle everybody's wagons. We need to agree on a date so everybody can be properly informed. Okay, so the mistakes this time are mine. I'll claim them. But I'm asking you to please don't throw this on me anymore.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a suggestion.
Yes.
Perhaps it would be helpful, at least until we get Amy about 6 months into this. Is in between the council meetings, maybe the Wednesday before the next council meeting, why don't we meet up here, you, myself, the mayor, Max, Sherry, so that we get an idea, okay, here's the ordinance you need to draft. I can try to put a template together, whatever we need to do to at least get you on board. That doesn't stop the last minute things, and those things happen, we'll deal with it, but I think that would help you. It's going to help me because I was trying to draft stuff and I needed, account numbers and, the 222, I have no idea what those amendments were and what they meant. So I think it might be helpful to set up those meetings in between the council meetings. It'd be helpful to you, helpful to me, everybody.
Bob, we've been meeting off weeks council.
We need to make
yeah.
sure we do that
So
again.
Monday or
Monday.
Tuesday. I mean, however,
We'll get,
whatever works for everyone.
We'll look at our
just
calendars and
yeah. I
get
mean,
back on
we've
that.
been,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't want to make it a public meeting.
right.
No.
It's to help her
Right.
get stuff. Right. Okay. Also, we need to be done with this committee meeting at 6:25 because of the SPP proposal and for a public meeting. I received an email from Mia Thompson. Just want to hear what you guys think of this on behalf of Alzheimer's support. Alzheimer's, she says, Alzheimer's support is a free service that assists Coshocton families who have loved ones with Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Through a free search tool and database of Alzheimer's care facilities, families in need of care for their loved ones can locate licensed care homes, communities in the Coshocton area that are best equipped to provide care for their loved ones. She's asking if it will be possible to let our residents know about Alzheimer's support via our website. So I guess this is something we need to ask Tom.
Yeah, you should be.
Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I can put whatever you want on the website. Just let me know where to put it and I'll stick it up there.
I think that's a good thing because I know the mayor's talked about mental health,
Right.
families going through it. So I think that would be something good. If Amy can send you the link, I have the link and I'll send her a hard copy so she can get you the link and we can post it.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
Another thing I need to bring up and find out what you think, Mayor. Brittany Kuhn, she's sitting in, I think you got this one too. I think you were CC'd in this.
DD Awareness Month.
I think, yeah, Developmentally Disabilities Month happens every March. She'd like to send a few people to the March 14th, our next meeting, for a proclamation. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah, she actually is working with Bob to get she has how she wants it read and we'll
Okay.
put it on some paper and get it done.
Okay, so Amy, will you email her
I will.
and let her know to be here?
Bob's
14th,
been-
what
yeah,
time?
7.
7, yeah.
Thanks.
We try to do as many local,
Right.
because we get a cause. I mean,
Absolutely.
like,
Oh, yeah.
like 20 a week, like we.
Those two
do
things
this,
are good
but-
things to,
But locally, we support, if we know it's from a local person, we will do a proclamation for whatever the
Right.
cause
I
is.
thought you would, I just.
Yeah, I mean, nationally, we get like, you'd be amazed at what we get.
Okay, so committees, infrastructure. Glenn? Yes, sir. The email that I got, from, it indicated that you and Dave want to have standalone meetings, correct?
Well, at least one.
Okay. Do you know when you want to have that?
We were talking about one of the off Mondays, but if you already have other events going on the off Monday, it wouldn't matter.
I meet with Mark and Max in the mornings, most generally.
Oh,
So, but I'm just thinking, you know, as I read this and I thought about it, because even Davis said infrastructure and ordinances go hand in hand.
Mhm.
So should somebody from the ordinance committee be there as well?
well,
Glenn and Tom are both on the ordinance committee.
Oh,
They're
there
both
we
on the
go.
infrastructure, so that would.
That's true.
but my intentions would be, all of city council is included, copied on the email, the invitation, and anybody that has any interest. We're already calling it a public meeting,
Right, it should be a public meeting.
so there's no concern of a complete majority of council is even there. Just,
No, I think you, but I just make sure that the infrastructure committee can be there. And
Mhm.
those are the main ones, and make sure it's posted to the public. Now that you have Amy's email, and we should be good to go.
Okay.
Okay,
good,
so if you guys can maybe decide on a date tonight,
Next Monday? Is
next
that-
Monday,
what time?
6:00,
Here?
right here at this table.
Yeah.
Now, furthermore,
You would have to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
let's finish that.
You want her to post this?
Yes, please.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to like work around, but if it's just general conversation, it probably shouldn't be on public record for initial conversation. Furthermore, I would like Dave not to work at 6 o'clock because his normal workday ends at 4. Well, his normal workday usually ends at 8, 9 o'clock, but if we can make it sometime a little bit earlier, I think if we're just proposing things and throwing ideas around, it probably shouldn't be a public meeting.
It will be primarily Dave addressing the committees with a lot of detail.
Right, but that could all change, and if you make that a public meeting, am I, Bob?
If you have a full committee, it's got to be a public meeting.
I'm sorry, Dave addressing what?
Infrastructure. committee.
Infrastructure committee, like,
The
but
3
there's,
topics are like the water plant, water treatment, and stormwater.
right, but I mean, you guys can do it however you want. That's just my suggestion. If you're just throwing ideas around, probably a public meeting probably wouldn't.
But if there's more than 3
Right, but-
people, it has to be
then it
public,
has to
right?
be- No, I'm giving my input of if you're initially talking about something, probably shouldn't be in public meeting forum. You do whatever you want to do. It's just suggestion.
You can,
Yeah, 2 out of 3.
but if everybody's invited, you never have.
Right.
Somebody shows up.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, what do you think? Dave, what do you think?
I don't have a problem as my Christian mayor looking out for it. 6 o'clock Monday works for me. We need to get it moving, you know.
Yeah, because I know that you and Max talked and you guys want to wait till afterwards.
Mhm.
So here we are.
Well, I work till 5,
So
so I can make it here at 5:30 if that makes a
so if
difference.
Dave has no problem with it. 6 o'clock, are you good?
Okay.
Important topic.
Next Monday's a holiday.
Oh, yeah. Thank
That's
you.
right.
Tuesday.
So yeah, it'd be the 22nd.
Multitasking at that. Now, furthermore, Dave had originally said that the water plant and the waste treatment might each take an hour. But we agreed to try to do it in one. The storm sewer situation, stormwater situations, are unrelated topic. That can be a later date.
Okay, well. Me personally, I don't think, I know this committee meeting goes about an hour and a half, but, my preference is to be done in an hour. That's my preference, but
That would be my target.
but if you're the chairperson, it's your meeting, so. You,
Oh, we'll definitely shoot for an hour.
yeah, if it doesn't get done, then you guys can have another one.
Mhm.
So, that's up to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Amy, if there's anything to fill in, just let me know.
Okay. I know when we get to, we're down to the ordinance committee, and I also put it on finance, but ordinance committee, when we get to council, we need to table 222 to clean up the language. Let's see. Sherry's appropriations, that needs passed tonight, correct?
Yes, please.
Yep. And yeah, we're not going to do 722. No, we don't. We don't. It's on there. But that was the one for SPP, so it's under, that's in appropriations, is that correct?
Well, I just added the amounts that was requested 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago to be appropriated to pay that company.
Okay.
Now, I think 722, what you're proposing is just gonna be the ordinance to sign, to
There's
authorize
nothing-
signing the
there's
contract,
nothing
but
to
I don't know
sign.
what's,
There's not gonna be
Because it's part
anything
of
to
the
sign.
Because it's appropriations and it's a proposal. There's no
there's no contract with them.
No.
Okay,
It's just a month to month and there's no contract. So it's the proposal.
So that'll be in 522.
Yeah, I talked to Bob earlier today.
Okay.
And he said,
Okay, and 622, that's authorizing service director to sign all documents necessary for the city to purchase property at 637, 641 for the fire department, for Chief Dreyer. Okay,
They're gonna run its course, or?
that was my next question.
I think we need to get that.
We actually have to have something to employ it. Actually.
committee hasn't even approved.
So you need a
it.
pass?
Contract Stuff,
So
not
you,
tonight, because I don't have a document saying that. I
oh,
don't think we signed yet.
Well, I'm gonna be preparing, actually, my brother will be preparing purchase contracts. But there's also a mortgage I'm dealing with and title searches and stuff.
Probably should
But
have taken
to
off.
start the process of purchasing this, we want to get it under a purchase contract. So I need it passed tonight.
you need a pass.
So it's there.
So it needs passed tonight.
Needs passing.
I'd appreciate that. There's some money to get them torn down too, that are gonna be coming available, so the sooner that.
That wasn't one of that's kind of it kind of came, one of those things that came up,
Yeah,
like not a,
right.
It's not a-
Max gave me a call on that.
yeah, it's not a surprise. It
New
just,
fire chief, you gotta spend that
Right.
money faster than you makes it.
When it's available, we gotta take.
well, me and Matt, and to make a long story short with that, to build a new building, we're at about 800,000 for a nice, what is it, 30 by 60 building for the price that we're getting, even if we put $250,000 in improvements, we're still saving half of what we would have spent on building a brand new building. So it does make sense. And if anyone has,
Plays into the training facility that I had talked about early on. So they're just right there on top of that, the back parking lot. And the city already owns one lot there. And there's two more, plus there's another house in between that. When this deal is done, we'll start working on the other one. Cleaning the neighborhood up and making a nice training facility for us.
We toured the building and built it in very good shape. All high building. It's a big price tag.
34 by 72 with drive-through doors,
okay,
got alley access to.
right, and in the future, it can be a training center that we can
Yeah.
generate
And we
revenue
could have
from
classes
other.
and-
Right.
That's what you pay to have our guys sent to, right? Sometimes.
No,
for training.
it won't be a state certified training. It'll
Be
be,
some basic
it'll
training
be,
stuff that we can do in-house,
certain-
that type of thing, to get what we send them to at the Hot Fire Academy would take an extensive amount of.
Did the finance committee approve for the ordinance to be on the agenda and stuff tonight for the ordinance committee?
no, that's why we're talking about it now.
Yeah,
It's already on the agenda.
I'm just gonna go to additions. I'm putting it on additions. So, was it rewritten and added,
We added that.
you added that appropriations? Anything else from the ordinance committee? Does anybody have any ordinances that need to be discussed for March 14th?
I will for mine,
Yeah.
underneath mine, when you get to me,
Okay,
unless you want it now.
nope. let's-
Okay.
Go ahead. You're up.
For the 8th and 9th Street water line replacement project that's ongoing right now, and Dave might even want to speak more about that. We need to do additional appropriations to the 702 Water Contingency Fund of $400,000. Dave and I talked about, I had certified that we could, back in, it was actually first time around was May of 2020. The project came in bids a lot higher than what they were anticipating, so I had to recertify funds last September. And at that time, we talked about possibility of taking it out of the 701 water fund or the contingency fund. I met with Dave, was it last week,
Right.
Friday, I think it was, and we decided the best place to take it out of right now is the 702 contingency fund. So there's the cash there to do it, and that is our obligation towards that project. But I have Dave here, the total CDBG award was 500,000.
Yeah, there
Is
was a
that right?
CDBG grant that you got sometime, I believe, what, 2020 or 2019?
Mhm.
2020 from the county, and originally it was estimated to be like a $719,000 project, which our share would have been
219.
219. But when the bids come in, they were with material inflation and everything, they come in another 200,000 higher. So that's when last, when you say October, I think that sounds like
Yeah,
something.
September.
We had to recertify for 400,000, so that's our share of that, that's what we're seeing. These projects due to material inflation and
So Amy, I'll get you the information for the, for appropriations for that 702 contingency. And then that's all I have finance wise, but I did receive these two letters from the county auditor. It's the ag district from the Sheets, Joanne F. Sheets Living Trust and Wells Brothers Partnership. I think we do this every year. They have farmland that lies within the municipal corporation limits. And it says it is required that the property owner provide you with a copy of their application per a high revised code. The owner has sent a letter as a reminder, and then we have to make our decision whether we're going to accept this. Bob, you probably know more. I think it's an ordinance. We have it every year, but I don't, it was sent to me. So should I pass off to Amy then?
You have an email.
I have an email from Ken Sheets.
We didn't do an ordinance previous, did we? Did we just?
I thought there was always an ordinance accepting it into the CAUB, something.
Or
we have the ability to
resolution.
find
I
last
think-
year's ordinance.
Yeah, we've
I
done a
think-
resolution or an ordinance. I
Yeah.
remember the last couple of years.
So-
You have Bob try to find that.
Can't remember
Yeah.
which.
And next
Yeah, I don't
Wednesday.
know what it
when
is.
you-
I remember talking about.
We did
Do
it.
you want these, or do you want Amy to have them, or do you want
Yeah,
to
you have
reminder
to.
of Bob, or I
Yeah.
can hang on to them, give them Bob. tomorrow.
Probably be safer for
Okay.
you to do that. Yeah.
If we can find out what we did last year. We'll just.
It's just a repeat, because it's been every year.
Yeah.
for-
But it was a different plot. It was a different,
Resolution.
Well,
different land.
There's other ones that's. over the
Yeah,
Senate, all
that's-
that.
yeah, it was somewhere-
River,
it was
but we
somewhere.
usually have sheets too.
And everybody got her emails right for the regular council. Let's see. That's it. Tiffany,
I did provide you all with an updated report for February of 2022. And then I'll just briefly highlight a few things. That's yours to keep. If you have any questions, of course, you can please ask. I'll be here for the evening. We are, of course, continuing to work with 6 existing businesses, 4 of which are located in the city, to expand their current site or relocate to a site to accommodate their growth. So those are existing businesses that are here that need to expand. And we're working with 6 new and or out of town businesses to locate property for their growth. 4 are targeted to be inside the city and 2 are located in the GED. We have transferred property to Goodwill. Of course, they're going to be starting their building at the end of spring. And we've also transferred the property to the commissioners for the Justice Center. That's the former steel ceiling site. This work does continue to be a progress as we're working currently with Westrock. There's an existing 1 acre piece of property that they own that we are trying to get deeded over so that it can actually assist with this project. Max has been very helpful with that. We are also in exchange for the steel ceiling site for the Justice Center, we did take ownership of a few lots across from the central site. That is going to be commercial property, and we're going to start our due diligence in the spring on that. We're looking forward to some opportunities, and there's been a little bit of interest on that already. The Department of Development, that is probably the most time-consuming project that we have right now. They had launched 2 new programs. One is the Building Demo and Site Revitalization Program. That is actually the lead agency is the land bank on that. And that assists with residential properties as well as commercial properties in their demolition and their rehabilitation. And then there's the Brownfield Remediation Program. That's the one that's probably of greater interest. There's a $1 million opportunity for the community. There's a $500,000 opportunity for the land bank on the other one. This was a very quick turnaround program. We're still working on all of our submissions. We did our initial submission. It was due the end of January, and we'll continue those submissions with the work through the land bank until June 30th. All of those program dollars have to be expended then by May of 2023, and there's multiple properties. I think we have the opportunity to touch about a dozen properties with this program. That's going to be great assistance to all of us, I think, once we're able to fully announce the addresses associated with this. Our Coshocton Collaborative Project, of course, we continue with that. We are anxiously awaiting the EDA response to our submission. That submission happened the end of December. We're told that about 3 weeks ago, the November applicants heard if their projects merited further consideration. So we're very hopeful that within the next few weeks, we'll hear something about that project. And then it is going to be all hands on deck. Right now, we are reviewing program opportunities and partners for that programming. We're identifying phase 2 funding. The phase 2 funding is, of course, for the theater. So as soon as we're able to get contractors in there and get started, we're going to start to work on funding for the theater project. And then, of course, we're educating the community about what will be offered within that space. We have welcomed Senator Hottinger and Jennifer Kiko, who is with Congressman Gibbs' office, to that building. So they've actually been able to do the full tour and understand the asset that it is to our community. Really just barely scratches the surface of what's happening in our office right now. In addition to all of the project work that we are doing, we are continuing to identify new programs as they come about, and that's happening frequently now because of the stimulus money. And then we're also making sure that it's connected to the right businesses here or the agencies here that can help actually utilize those dollars. We are continuing to do our business industry partnership visits. That's our BRNE program. That's really what ensures that our businesses that are currently here are good, they're healthy, and we're talking with them on a regular basis. And then we're also doing a higher volume of lead submissions. What that means is we're identifying the pieces of property that could be available for growth, and we are actually submitting RFPs to site selectors for those properties. As you are all aware, the Intel announcement has really spiked that activity, and we want to be front and center at that. A couple other things just to touch on. I did speak with Mark after last committee meeting, just to kind of talk a little bit more about the JEDs and the annexation, where we are with that. I know that that was a hot topic for last Monday's meeting, and we did kind of agree that it might be beneficial to get with Bricker and Eckler. They're a very well-respected law firm that we all trust. The port uses them, the county uses them, and certainly you guys have as well, to really help provide some educational material that will help understand the requirements for annexation versus JEDs. And so we're working on that. I think we've got a meeting set up on the 23rd. Yes, I think that sounds right. We're going to talk with really the two experts in the field, so that we know for sure how council can then apply the report that we're providing from Hammond Consulting. Really, that report's going to show you the financial benefits to the community, but also what it may be helpful for the companies involved in those decisions. That's the financial part. We want to make sure that everyone truly understands the legal process along with that. And so, Bob, that may be a great conversation for you to be in as well. Rob McCarthy is going to help us with that. There's a fantastic guidebook that helps with that, because it's a pretty intense program.
What time is that meeting next week?
It's in the morning, 9:30.
I'd say it was 9:30, not 10.
On the 23rd.
Yeah. But these guys actually have written guidelines for CCAO, the County Engineers Association of Ohio. So they really are well respected, but it's a law firm that everyone is using in the community. And so I think to have that information would be really, really beneficial for all of us. And then lastly, of course, I know that you are discussing the topic tonight of SPP. Mark and I actually did have a conversation about that scope of work, what that looks like along with the consultants that we are currently utilizing and how those kind of fit together. My initial concern was, how are we working together? I want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts. He did kind of put my mind to ease with that. I also said that stakeholders are going to have a place at that meeting, like very quickly. So when we talk about rebranding the community, you know, the CBB has put hundreds of thousands of dollars into those efforts. And I want to make sure that we are all working together and we're not doing something that's going to cost another community agency a ton of money at the end. And so Mark did say that we would have the opportunity to meet with them very quickly to talk about what this looks like. So that's it for me. Any questions?
Did you want to provide us any information with the CEDS, CEDS?
Yeah, did
That
you
Mark
get
had
the
emailed
email?
you?
Yeah, did you get the email?
Yeah, and I
Okay, I did reply all on that email. Very lengthy process. So the CEDS is a really important document that we utilize all the time. It really helps us make sure that we're at the forefront of any grant opportunity. We can ask for something, but if we don't have the data to back that up in the form of a report, it's not going to get us very far. So Omega, as our local development district, they actually put an entire team together that actually helps write this for our region. Really, it's incredibly applicable for us and the rest of the region. The only strange outlier out there is Holmes County. They're in our region, but as we all know, their unemployment rate is half of what everybody else's is. They're just really different than the rest of our region. So we actually utilize that CEDS all the time. Our EDA grant, we had to refer to that, but it helps us then also generate goals. Our last meeting was 2 weeks ago at Omega. We'll continue those meetings until we're able to produce the new rewritten version, which you have to do every 5 years.
Is it, Tiffany is, and I'm gonna meet with you at a different time on that, but is it, the idea for me, is it unique for one county to have that, I mean, or is that just not how it works?
In all honesty, it would be very time consuming and very costly to do a document like that. And in all honesty, the similarities that we have to the rest of our surrounding counties is very similar for the amount of time that you have, and it's accepted. So it's something that's accepted through federal agencies with EDA and ARC. I think at that point, you have to look at what your return on investment would be on whether or not it made sense for Coshocton to do their own. How different are we really from Guernsey? How different are we from Muskingum? What the document does, if you really read through it, is it does highlight each community, and Hannah Stillians with Omega is going to do that this year. We'll kind of have a complete data set provided by her that we can utilize for our own guidance. But it is very, very time consuming. There's a reason that they only make you do it every 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not missing something being a part, like I know Omega is helping, but if it would be beneficial, if it could.
I don't think that it would be.
Okay.
In all honesty, you've got an entire team of people there at Omega that there's a dozen of them that are trained to really put their heads together and figure out what's best for our region. And I can tell you, they don't, if you're worried about like favoritism, they do not do that. They truly have the best interest of every single one of their communities at heart. And it's a really good, well-respected document. And I think it would be difficult for us to try to do something that would match that.
I like difficult though.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
All right.
I know last time we met, you had talked about a meeting with the gentleman that talked about the plastics plant. And I think you were going to have a Zoom meeting. How did that go?
It went well. We kind of went back to the basics and said, okay, now that you've seen all of these properties, let's figure out what you really want. We decided that we were going to go with vacant property and looking at a building option. We're going to be presenting him with another PowerPoint so that he can determine which properties he'd like to visit when he comes here. I also extended the invitation for you and Tom to take him around when he gets here. And he's certainly happy about that. So.
Oh, I thought he turned it down because he heard Jim was going to go with us.
He didn't.
The other question I had with the Intel business relocating or locating in the New Albany area. Are you hearing anything about developing the 4-lane?
Yes. I mean, we're right at the peak of that again, and we think that there's no better time than now to strike. We have kind of been told that, hey, the initial infrastructure investment is going to have to be closer to the factory. You'll see some 4-lane highways go to 6-lane and so forth to accommodate the traffic. With that being said, these people still need someplace to live. The supply chain still needs someplace to go, and it's going to come here. We're very confident in that. We are meeting with our legislators. We're in their ear right now. One of the things that we really are wanting to focus on is that feasibility study. You know, everybody makes decisions based on data. I wish I could say it and they just believe it. That's not how it works. But that feasibility study would show what the growth has been since the last time it was done and where we're going, especially now with Intel. And the fact that we know 40 new supply chain they're going to come here, well, here or in the region. So we're really focused on that and making sure that we have money to be able to do that. So each of the communities that is impacted by this are having very similar conversations right now. We will be in DC. Jeanette and I will be Weir Specky mid-March, and we're planning on taking advantage of that trip. So we'll keep you posted.
Have you talked to any restaurants or anything for out by the new hospital?
You know, I have. It's tricky right now, to be honest. They tell me no on a very regular basis because the first thing that they do when they're entertaining a phone call or an email is they're looking at demographic and they're looking at median household income. And so when I first got hired, my son said, please get us a Chipotle. That's all that matters. Every response that I have gotten has been, your demographic's not there, your household income. And when I reply back with, I can promise you that you're going to be served well by our community, they'll say, your community is already traveling to Muskingum or Tusk. So why should we go there?
Same reason why the hospital come up here.
That's right.
And that's it. What we have to do then is we have to explain to them, we've got all of these developments that are happening. This, and this is currently under construction. You've got Intel that's happening. So we're working on that. We're currently in contact with one chain, one franchise. The other part of that too is that you've got some that make their own very independent decisions. Others are franchise opportunities. Franchise opportunities are difficult. You've got a whole nother player involved in that and their financial abilities associated with it. And so we've worked with a couple different people that are interested in franchise opportunities. But right now, it's not going.
Let's say I come to the Port Authority and I say, hey, I want to put a Chipotle in here.
Yeah.
Would you help me build that building? I mean, can
Yes
we look
and
at
no.
it that way?
We can't. So the typical incentives that we would offer include capital investment and it includes job creation. What we also have to look at is, are you comfortable as a council giving incentives that reduce the property tax that you get and the sales tax that you get, or income, I'm sorry, not sales, but income tax that you get from those jobs? And sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. Craft was 350 jobs. No brainer, right?
Right.
You know, that's a huge investment here in our community. What is sometimes looked at as a bigger investment because it's desirable isn't necessarily the highest paying jobs. Right. And so we have to kind of weigh that. We need work for our youth, and a lot of times they fill those positions, but we do have to be cautious. Would our services, would we help them locate the right piece of property? Would we help them get connected to the landowners? Would we make sure that they're aware of potential incentives? Yes.
Okay.
But then we're going to come to you and we're going to say, are you willing to support it by giving these kind of tax breaks? In the news, I'm not telling you anything that you haven't seen, Texas Roadhouse, that was a front page article with Muskingum County. These guys come in and they ask for big incentives. We have to determine what's really important to us here. Is it helping the mom and pop that puts back into the community because they're sponsoring softball, baseball teams? Their money stays here because they live here. Their money stays here because they're buying groceries at Walmart. Or are we willing to give those incentives to corporate entities that may not, their dollar might not go as far as a mom and pop? Those guys, ultimately, you guys have that decision. I'm always going to be a conduit and bring that to you, but those are things that factor into incentive packages that hopefully we have an opportunity to talk about. But right now, it's your median income, not great. It's not where we want to be. And people are going to Zanesville or they're going to Tusk. But I'll keep you posted. The one franchise is interesting. They've sniffed around here a couple times. They're aware of the developments on US 36. And I don't think that they're going away. I think that they're going to build regardless of what we put out
Okay.
on that menu.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Any last question for you?
You made me.
No, she said it was phase two.
Phase two.
I did. I mean, keep in mind, everything we're doing with that theater is with the intent that that theater remains untouched until we're able to improve it and it's a theater. None of what we're doing, co-working location, makerspace is inside the theater itself. And still would absolutely extend the tour to you guys. Let me know if you want to come in and see it because it's incredible. But every single bit of our design, our engineering is to preserve that theater as an asset here. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything? Joe, you want to give a little update, what you told me a little bit ago?
Oh, yeah. So Mark and I met with Omega. Kevin, who used to be working for them, isn't working for them anymore. And Josh showed up with a team of 4 other people. I thought it was a really exciting meeting. They seemed very excited about the possibilities and the things that we can do. So I feel like we're going to see some movement now. Hopefully they're going to be talking with the Railway Commission and seeing if we can get that property, which was supposed to have happened many months ago, but didn't due to the person from Omega that was just wasn't doing his job. But it looks good now. And so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, and there was potential for expanding it even further and lots of ideas thrown around, ways to connect it to the multi-use path that's going in behind Walmart. That looks really good. So I feel very encouraged.
We took them, me and Max took them out on a field trip. Michelle had to go, so we took them kind of and showed them the layout and kind of the visual plan. So
And they were
they're
excited.
excited.
Yeah.
So as long as they're excited, I'm excited.
That's how I
Yeah.
felt too. Their energy was really good.
That's good. That means they're
yeah,
motivated to help this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very different meeting than the ones we've had in the past. So I'm very encouraged.
Max, you have anything for us before we go to council?
Not really. I mean, we all know that we're still trying to recover from the ice and there's a lot of holes that we're in the process of patching. Yeah, that's what Public Works is into. We talked about 8th and 9th streets continuing. I think they're fighting this weather. They've done a fantastic job getting as far as they are.
We're probably about a third done, I would
Yeah.
say.
So that's pretty good for what they've been fighting. They started right after the 12-inch snow, so. That's.
Jeff, you have anything?
I have a question. Who cut the hole on Main Street on top of the hill as you're coming up Main
The
Street?
gas company. Yeah, on the brand new street.
Yeah, well, now, are we gonna settle for that the way that is?
No, that's why you have an ordinance, how we're gonna fill holes. and
Right,
people are
but,
gonna be
I
responsible.
mean, the ordinance is already in effect.
And they've
So-
done that right before that snow hit.
So we knocked all the cold patch off.
Okay.
When it
So I'm
took
I'm
out.
thinking if they can't do it right with blacktop, let's just
We-
concrete all the way up to the
Well,
asphalt
we,
and be done with it.
And with that said, Second Street had a huge, right by Freeze where you turn in there.
Mhm.
And I told Public Works Director Shire to get them back out and fix the road
Right,
properly.
okay.
So you're gonna see more, even
Right.
local contractors, we're gonna fill the holes and fill them right.
All right, thank you.
So I know they did that up there when they were putting in Papa John's. The gas company left it down. It was like a speed bump right through
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Then they did come back and fix it.
Yeah, with our encouragement.
With your encouragement, yeah. What's what was the update on the picking up the trash up there on Hill Street in the alley?
So there are still issues. What I want everyone to know is the trash trucks have cameras on them. So they send us live pictures of this is why we can't get to it, we've been working hand in hand with Kimball Operations directly when we have issues. They have the same problems that, everyone, equipment and people, and then weather. So, I personally went out and took a picture and said, you can't collect trash. This is bare pavement. So we've been working diligently with Kimball to we've had people 3 weeks go without trash pickup. So it's been mainly the alleys where it's up and down. When I know South Sixth Street had right off Bank Street, that
Right.
alley is trash pickup. They went 3 weeks. It's just Mother Nature. Directly, what we did too is put Kimball's operations in touch with Public Works. So if it was the road, then here, go, or if it was an alley,
Right.
go treat this alley so that they can get, Kimball has chains with ice. People say the trucks are heavy. Yeah, we actually had a fire truck off the road the last couple of weeks. So, once it gets on
Ice is ice.
there's nowhere to go. So we've been working, Public Works has been working directly with Kimball. I'm ready to go out of the trash business and the snow business. I'll tell you that. I'm ready for grass seed.
There's no choice with Mother Nature. If she
Yeah.
wants to snow, you're
Yeah,
gonna
so
get snow.
communities all around, I read the article that Roger sent today about Newark and Main Street and cleaning snow, into the walkways. I want people to know that, like, on Main Street, we plow to the middle, because if we plow to the curb, then we plow businesses in.
Right.
If we plow your driveway in, it's because if we plow to the middle of the road, if we turn the plow the other way, then you still can't get in your driveway, because when you're coming down the road, the snow's in the middle of the road. So I haven't went anywhere in the past couple weeks where I've ran into snow experts and had to break it down on, we cannot magically make snow disappear. And whoever is mayor after me, I'm going to recommend that they get dragons so they can just walk them around and they can breathe fire on all the snow and ice.
Well, I
and
think
it
all our
disappears.
plows need to be like hot irons, that would fix everything.
Or heated, all the roads need to be heated. I got that one too. So
Right.
if anyone wants to donate, it probably
anybody,
costs $1 trillion.
do we-
We can do that.
Anybody, go ahead.
Do we meet, let's say after a snow event, we've had 2 rather large ones, do we meet with the guys and say, okay, this went really well, but these are some areas that we need to address?
It's 7 days, 24 hours a day, messages from people, then we're in direct contact with Public Works. Hey, get out here. A lot of times they'll start with one pass, one lane on a street, and then people are like, well, how come it's not 2 lane? Like, there is a science to it. There's primary, secondary, there's all kinds of, and we will come out with maps that have that. Pretty soon, we will probably have GPS on our trucks. I know people probably saw Cleveland. They said that their system lied to them and said it'd been plowing down their street and it hadn't been, but we're going to upgrade. The 5 inches of sleet we got that turned into solid ice
Yeah.
broke everything we had. And I invite anyone on council to go ride in a plow truck. Just do it for 16 hours and see how you feel, because it will beat the tar out of you. Like, it just beats everything up, blades, bolts, hydraulics, pins. We saw everything. I saw a comment where I don't go out unless it's nice, but I guess people stay in their house and they don't see me out. But we were at the garage Saturday, Sunday. It killed equipment.
How many people, and I'm just asking, how many people are certified to do the snow removal?
It depends on CDL. Like, for the big trucks, we only have a couple. We probably rotate 6 total people.
Is that the same 6 that are in Public Works?
Yeah, and if
One guy from distribution.
Yeah, one guy from distribution that previously worked in Public Works will help them out. Trucks.
I know you only have so many trucks with
Yeah.
snow plows on.
Right, and usually we're running 4. And at this last event, we were probably down 2 at a time. So we were running 2 trucks on 65 miles of roads.
Right.
You're gonna have issues. And that's I mean, it was just a patience thing. There were a couple areas, both snow events that we've had. There were a couple areas that we need to probably do a little better job, but they're secondary streets, so.
I think
You
you
know,
address those. You
Right.
just said you
and-
addressed
right,
them.
And
so
we
that's
do,
good.
and we do.
That's
I
how-
mean,
that's the only way
people-
for you to get it better.
My phone never stops. Max's phone never stops. It just, we go and we're in constant contact and we appreciate, being in a truck for 16 hours is not fun. A lot of people say just throw salt, throw salt, throw salt. Well, salt, it's $300 a truckload. So we can do it, but we're not going to. They know when to throw salt and when, the sun comes out, it melts it. We're going to be complaining because it's too hot one of these days,
Okay.
and I'm ready.
Yeah.
Never.
Does anybody else have
Yeah,
anything
never
real
too
quick?
hot.
Real quick,
Yep.
the new truck that was waiting to get a new bed put on it, where do we stand on that?
The bed is done and it's in Wisconsin, I think.
Final snow?
Wisconsin? No, there's nobody to there's no one to drive the truck to bring the truck bed to Zanesville. The bed is done. I talked to Kevin this morning. The bed is done. And actually he was thinking about maybe reaching out to Coshocton Trucking or a local firm. If they're in that area, maybe they can throw it on one of their trucks and so we can actually have it. So
Thank you.
we're patiently waiting still. Or impatiently waiting, however you want to look at it.
Doing the best you can. All right, well, we need to adjourn to chambers. We got about 2 minutes. We'll quit about 5 till 6.
Need help?
I'm not looking at it.
Is there anybody here that would like to address the SPP? Anybody from the public? No, Michelle, you want to,
Sure.
you had some things from the public, correct?
Yep, I was just some thoughts and ideas that, questions I was asking really couldn't answer. And Tiffany wrote some of it in her talk at our committee meeting. And it was just how will SPP work with our current organizations and current projects and things like that? Are they going to be a partner? Or are they going to come in and kind of do their own thing? So that was,
And the idea that I'll address that.
Thank
No
you.
one was available tonight from SVP due to prior engagements. They will, I plan on having a stakeholders meeting where the Cdbg, the chamber, for everyone, so we're going in the right direction. We will meet probably within 2 weeks of this meeting to get everything in line. So they're not coming in to reinvent the wheel. They're coming in to accentuate what we have.
and as far as like, how long should we see results from them? It's a month to month, so we're not entering into a full 6 or 12-month contract or anything like that. So what is the process? Are they gonna, do we know what the process even is? Are they gonna rewrite things in a plan, or are they gonna just jump in?
So here's, I kind of wrote down just a basic what I want, and at the stakeholders meeting, we can, all the organizations can weigh in. 4-lane is top priority to me, and Tiffany's going to Washington, so they could quite possibly get involved that way. At the state level, I know really it's a pipeline for the governor and lieutenant governor. So I know we'll have that connection there automatically. Just they're going to help with housing development, plan for growth, connect us to funding. We're connected to funding, but it's just an additional person to help with that. And then if Tiffany would need help with, to leverage, hey, I'm almost there, and I think they could help me on this project, then they're there to. They're not going to run to the governor with every whine and whimper that we have, but if it's something that they know that we can accomplish with just a little more help, that's what they're going to do. The multi-use path that we're working on, I think that's something that they could be in the state house. They can be with the rail commission and talking about leveraging funding for that. Downtown Revite, really what they're going to do is put us in a position top of mind with industry, residential developers, and connect us more to government and corporate stakeholders. So, but I mean, overall, we're not reinventing the wheel. We are just helping. And when you look at business, businesses have PACs, you pay in the PACs, and they go and they fight like hell for what you want to do. And that's really what these guys are going to do. And they're very connected with government officials and stakeholders. So I think it's a good mix with Fortune 500 companies and as well as government stakeholders. And I don't look, overnight like they're going to change the world. Everything takes time. The relationships need built. But I think the quicker that we can hit the ground running with organizations, the quicker that things will happen. When you do strategic planning, you need people's input. It's not, hey, here's what we're going to do because it's my way. It's definitely going to take community involvement, community input, and the more that we have of that, the bigger and the better that it's going to work out for us. But I don't think that they're coming in to step on anyone's toes or reinvent anything.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it if it wasn't going to be beneficial. I wouldn't say let's do this.
Okay. Yeah, my concern was just, if we're going to have them in and they're going to start, we're gonna be paying them each month, at what point, if I'm approached by the community, or I'm wondering myself, gosh, it's been 2 months. What do we, do we continue? Do we not continue? I know that we have to leave some room for them to actually get something happening and do the work.
Yeah, and the way I look at it, we're going in at about 100,000 for the year, right under 100,000 at 96,000. If we can get $1 million worth of funding, they paid for themselves. It's 10%. I think it's fair. But I think $1 million's a small number, and I think that they'll be able to leverage whatever we want to leverage. But I think it's going to take more than me. It's going to take our community to get involved, and they're very connected. So
I have a question, Lanny or Mark, either one. I heard about, Tiffany said something about data being gathered. Once we figure out our projects, or like you or Lanny or, Public Works, Max, who's going to be responsible for collecting that data to make sure that we're getting what we're asking for? We're going to try to get what we're asking for.
could you ask a more simple question? No, I'm messing with you, Tom.
No, I know.
You're saying who's gonna follow up, who's gonna police what we're doing?
Well, I think that's what we discussed about earlier, as far as, okay, so if we have these projects, then we have to provide proper information why we want, the water treatment plant fixed. Where's the data besides it's 100,000 years old and it needs replaced?
Right. I think, as far as what Tiffany has going on with Hammond Consulting now, we're going to have some data with, as far as residential development, where we're heading in that direction. I think, I've talked to them, and really we're going to have to go after some low hanging fruit in the beginning, just to show that, hey, they're doing what they need to do. And they know what, my theory on it is they wouldn't come in here and take the risk. They're not going to come in here with a big ask and make themselves look bad. I think really we're on the cutting edge of.
Well, they've never done this before. Sorry to interrupt you.
Right.
So I think they're going to work really hard at trying to get these projects done.
And I believe that.
And that's why I asked, the city has to do their due diligence to make sure that we provide the right information for their whatever projects that they're going to be lobbying for.
Right. And I think, a lot of infrastructure, I think it'll be good for a lot of the infrastructure that's coming down. State capital budget's one example. Like I said last time, we were in the state capital budget. Coshocton County got a whopping $300,000 out of last state capital budget. So I think they'll do a little bit better than that for us. Tiffany needs to redo a theater. So I think their relationship with the DOD, I think that it'll put us top of mind in Columbus and really, and even at the federal level, and help us.
I'm sorry, I'm just the president. Maybe I'm asking too many questions.
No, I like it. Keep going.
I think like the Arcadis study.
Yeah.
So we're talking about tonight, that will give us data for some sewer treatment plant upgrades, not just digest. That'll give us a partner to work with data you're talking about.
I think the Warsaw Waterline Project's another example. I think it's another extension to Omega. The thing that I've really thought about as a whole and talked with Tiffany about is when you look at the city, there may come a point where they are working with the county, and we're going to have to figure out how that's all going to work. That's the biggest issue I see is we're paying them, but what happens in the county essentially benefits us. So at some point it's going to be, to me, is where are we heading growth wise, and it's I really just, to me, it's take a chance and see what happens. I know it's a huge amount of money, but I wouldn't roll the dice if I didn't think, if if they knew that they weren't going to make a difference and they couldn't do anything, they wouldn't come in here to try to help us. So
I had, one of Michelle's questions was, how soon should we be able to see some results? I guess I'd suggest, we're not gonna say in a month or two, I'd say 6 months minimum.
Right.
And I guess the question would be, will someone from that group come to our meetings and give us a monthly report or a quarterly report?
I'm sure whatever you want to request from them.
I know we expect
they'll
that
be open.
from Tiffany, so I would hope they would update us on any progress they're making or what they're working on.
What, I mean, as far as council goes, what's your first, what's top of mind? Like, what do you want to happen first?
Well, it's not low hanging, but it's, what infrastructure and things need to do, but that's more higher hanging stuff. But if a low hanging thing is going to be the path, then
Right.
let's do it.
I think,
Theater.
right, I think with Intel's announcement of $20 billion investment, 58 minutes away from us, I think we are top of mind with 4-lane and what's going to go on there. And I think they can help with that. Really I see it, the sky's the limit. They're going to come in here and they're going to perform because they're going to want Zanesville's business. They're going to want Mount Vernon's business. They're going to want Philly's, but it's something new, and I'm glad to be on the cutting edge of something new and trying something different instead of the status quo and poors me and this is how it's always been. So I'm
So will they help in housing development?
Yeah, most definitely.
That's something that really needs,
Right.
We keep talking about Intel, but they don't have any place to live.
And a lot of, with meeting with Fricker and Eckler, it's kind of, we're going to have kind of an idea what direction that we need to go with Hammond Consulting being in here working. We're definitely going to have the data to say, here's where we're going to grow. Here's the plan. Just all aspects of what we need.
Okay, Michelle, I know you got some more things there because you're a well-oiled machine, so.
I do. So those are all like really big projects and things, but some of the things that our community is working on, or smaller groups in our community, are the trees on Main Street, the downtown lighting project, Wi-Fi on Main Street. They help us get funding to get the smaller, those are also big, but smaller.
Yeah. I mean, with their connection, they should have no issues getting, maybe they can work on the trees and I can have a break from that. But I want to, the thing with the lighting downtown, we received funding for 50 lights. That was just shy of $80,000, and we got a proposal for installation that was $250,000. So and maybe they can find us that money for installation. I mean, really, it's what are your wishes, and let's see if we can get them granted.
Okay. And the difference between this company, the SPP company, and other companies that help with grant funding, is it just the lobbying mostly that they're going to be able to be?
Yeah, as far as they're not a grant funding company. They definitely are connected to grant writers, and that's a expertise on its own. I don't want to say they're not going to write grants and they're not going to be heavily involved, but they will be heavily involved in where the funding is coming from. So the grant process really is not that important. I don't want to say it's not that important because it's part of the process, but if they can get the money and they can leverage that money, the grant process is the grant process. It's writing the proposal and getting, they're more of here's where the money is and connecting it to that grant writing process.
Okay. I think that's all I have.
You're done grilling me now, Michelle?
I'm done.
Okay, good.
For the moment.
So Lanny, I know you're in touch with them a lot. Do they respond to you pretty quick when we have questions?
Even at the Super Bowl yesterday, I knew you're having the vote. Michelle, you asked about some of more specific things on a smaller scale. So conversation I had, I looked at the scope of work and not just as the our town director, but personally, I worked in this industry for over 12 years. I was a political consultant. The way I would describe it is now they don't do grant writing, but they close deals. And when you think about it, getting what you want from the government, it's not about power and money necessarily. What it's about are relationships. So you're paying them for their relationships. So it might be something you specifically tell a consultant that's on their radar, but at the same time, when something in their nexus intersects with one of their clients, it's their job to put one of our projects on the radar. So you get ahead of it. I think, it feels like a lot of times in just speaking with different officials and people in the community, it feels like we're always playing catch up. And I think this is probably a really wise thing. I'd encourage you to vote, in the affirmative for it. Well, it's part of appropriations anyway, but it'll help you get, ahead of that. And so you're not just treading water, but you're actually going with the current. There's a lot of momentum right now on Main Street in the city of Coshocton, certainly in the county as well. And at that point, when you have that much momentum, you just need to worry about where you're steering that cart. But in order to do that, you have to ascertain what your needs are. And to go to your first point about, stakeholder stuff, that was the call I had with them yesterday. Just as a local organization, their willingness to be in availability to be able to hear from our point of views. And we spent about 30 or 40 minutes on the phone talking about trees was one of the things, recreational opportunities, especially adjacent to downtown. I think, our market is a city of three rivers, but that's an underutilized asset. So, just putting that on their radar, but just the conversation I had, that's a conversation they want to have with every local organization. So what I would say, it's a tremendous opportunity through the city's retainer for organizations like mine that are based in the city that have that access. So if there is a capital budget request that pertains to one of our projects, we have a fair stake at the table where we can express our needs and that can translate and come back and we can get dollars for that. So it's not just the city that's going to benefit. It would ultimately be any organization. So just having worked in that industry though, as far as what you can, as far as how long is it going to take till we see results? So they're going through the capital budget right now. Honestly, you're talking about 6 months because there's a process, but there's also, deliberation that goes through that. So typically, you'll go through the summer cycle and even into fall, then you get into other things like omnibuses and all these different terms, which someone could articulate better than me. I never worked in the legislature, but the point is there's so many different funding pools, but it does take time to have, the deliberative process go through because there are two parties in Columbus and not everyone's going to ultimately agree on budgets right away and instantly. But the big thing is you want an advocate there when you are seeking dollars. I think you mentioned we had 300,000, the last big budget cycle out of a budget of $2.5 billion. What you have to consider is Coshocton's not alone in their budget requests. There are other municipalities that want from the same pool of money. And if someone's out there poking holes in your proposal because they're at city B or city C, and they want that same access to that same funding pool, you definitely want someone on your behalf advocating for you. So, there's just so many advantages to it, but that was a long answer to a few short questions. But no, I did have a conversation with them after he asked me to look at the proposal, and we had a good talk yesterday and continue to have talks, but no, got everyone's cell phone and access and it's all good. So just to answer that brief question.
Thank
I
you.
think it'll be a good thing.
So I think you mean, yes, they get back with you pretty well.
Yeah, right away. If someone can answer at the Super Bowl when they've been a lifelong Bengals fan, not right at it, but getting ready for it. And actually, I do believe the one was out in LA for the game. My
About 4
experience.
minutes. Thanks, Laney.
Yep.
We have about 4 minutes left. Does anybody else have anything?
Lynn, they are already working with somebody in town, a business or?
They currently are retained by Standard Power. Yeah. In fact, through that, I wasn't aware that there's a military grade fiber line coming right through here, connecting Pittsburgh to Columbus. So we did have conversations about, intel and stuff like that, but they're very well in tune to that conversation and things going on over there. So it'd certainly be advantageous at the right time with that kind of thing going on. I would think that's just my personal opinion.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll adjourn those. Back in session at 7 o'clock. That clock is wrong, so we have about 7 minutes.
That's all I thought we're not. And we found out the football.
o'clock. It's Monday, February 14th. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day. A better place to be in a city council meeting. Over there, yeah, it's 7 o'clock, regularly scheduled. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross.
Yeah.
Johnson,
Here.
Mishler,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
Turner. Here.
I need a motion to excuse Kaylee Andrews. Second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross. Johnson,
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Please stand for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation by Mr. Gross. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, again, we thank you for the opportunity to serve the city. Be with us as we conduct business tonight and pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Next night tonight, Mayor gets to give his State of the City address. And he's also got recognition. So Mayor Mills, good luck.
I'm nervous. I'm not used to speaking anymore. All right, so first things first, happy Valentine's Day. I know you all wanted to spend it here with me this evening. And the Bengals didn't win, so it is what it is. If you enjoyed the halftime show, you probably voted for me, and if you didn't, probably didn't. So it'll be just as good rambling. You won't be able to understand it. So this is my State of the City address for the year 2021, the year of variants, healthcare crises, inflation, worker shortages, supply chain issues, vaccinations. At least all our meetings were on Zoom this year. We were in the hybrid model. That 2-week flatten the curve sure lasted longer than we all expected. President Hilgenberg, council members, elected officials, co-workers, and my fellow citizens. I would like to thank all the great men and women who surround me on a daily basis, especially Max Crown and Jeff Porter, who successfully filled many roles while Cherry Wilson battled and eventually succumbed to cancer in mid-January. I would also like to thank Sherry Kirkpatrick and the auditor's office and Jackie Cushman and the tax office for the extra help during these previous tough months at City Hall. We also suffered another loss in 2021. In early September, Public Works Supervisor Cody Darr lost his battle with cancer at the age of 46. He left big boots to fill in that department as well. While the passing of these two will always leave a hole in my heart, I know they are both looking down on me and smiling. Cherry is telling me not to say something crazy, but I know Cody is encouraging it. I would also like to thank all of our department heads that are asked to perform miracles with a limited staff and a limited budget, and to every single employee that dedicates their lives to this great community. A special thank you goes out to my biggest critics the majority of the time, my mother and father. Ginger for keeping me and our home in order, and of course my two teenagers, Dom and Trip, who are both driving now. They show me that being mayor isn't really as complicated as raising two hungry teenage boys. While there are issues nationally and internationally that caught people's attention, locally we continue to persevere through the continued pandemic. I have always said both positive and negative things have happened here, and we have always been in this together. 2021 was the completion of two major projects in our city. The Three Rivers Veterans Memorial Bridge, which we didn't get to celebrate because we're still in COVID. Someday I drive across the bridge and I just want to have a huge party on the bridge. So that's going to happen. The West Lafayette Waterline Extension was completed as well. And we have 900 happy customers in that village. The bridge looks amazing with the flowers provided and maintained by Coshocton and Bloom. The waterline extension is just the springboard for the city of Coshocton to become a regional water supplier for the majority of the county one day. MFM is nearing completion of an $8 million investment and is adding 20 jobs within our city. Standard Power is remediating the former Rock 10 site and developing a data mining and cryptocurrency site that should expand in the coming months. All other manufacturing plants in the city and county remain strong and are always looking for the right people to fill their numerous job openings. Momentum is really picking up downtown with the Port Authority's announcement of acquiring of the Pastime Theater for the future Coshocton Collaborative. Our town, Coshocton, recently acquired the Selby building and will soon turn 60,000 square feet into something special with the help of a private partnership. I would also like to thank everyone who are making investments downtown to bring it back to life, from Airbnbs to new storefronts, to office space, to living quarters, to new small businesses, restaurants, even a doctor's office. The county's announcements this year will definitely change the landscape of our city in the coming year. A new jail will break ground at the end of North 3rd Street, new EMS and hopefully coordinated transportation building at 7th and Walnut Street. I would like to thank the voters as well for supporting not only the jail levy, but also the library, career center, and the EMS levy this year. The city continued on my mission of technology this year, even with supply chain issues. Our downtown Wi-Fi project is nearing completion. Our parks are nearing completion of video surveillance on Wi-Fi, and you can even now pay your utility bill online with a credit or debit card. A couple of national chains came to town this year. Ollie's Bargain Outlet and Dunkin' located to 2nd Street, while we are still awaiting the opening of our brand new Wendy's because Ginger wants some fries at the other end of 2nd Street. Small business openings from coffee shops to home decor stores to restaurants that opened this year were plentiful. I feel like I have scissor elbow. I always tell you can laugh or what. I had to put that in there because it kind of gets monotonous. I always tell people now is always the right time to take a chance to start or open a business. If not, you'll talk yourself out of it. Coshocton also has a great network of knowledgeable people and information to help you along the way. Our parks received some upgrades this year. We installed glass backboards at Heimball and Hall Parks, along with video surveillance and Wi-Fi hotspots. Heimball Park basketball court and shelter got splashed with some color thanks to the art mob, numerous volunteers, and donations from residents and local businesses. New pickleball courts were built at City Rec Park, along with upgrades to dugout roofs and concession stand restroom roof replacement at City Rec Fields at Kids America. We also successfully negotiated 3-year contracts with both ASME and the fire union, along with a new contract with Sheriff Crawford for the city's police protection. I would like to thank all negotiating teams for their professionalism shown during our meetings. We also worked through the civil service process of hiring a new fire chief after Chief Layton's retirement. Rusty Dreher was a successful candidate who brings a strong sense of public service and safety to the position. With the help of legislation from City Council, we combined the Board of Zoning Appeals with the Planning Commission
to offer ease of development within our community. I also negotiated with Mid-East Building Department to hold office hours on Wednesday at City Hall for a user-friendly experience that allows for commercial builders to save time and have access to a building inspector locally. An issue that was older than myself was finally put to bed. The city, after many failed attempts, was able to purchase Ferry Falls Drive. We plan to upgrade drainage and resurface as soon as funding allows. Who knows? Maybe I can work some magic on the Carnegie Library, also an issue older than your mayor. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank all the organizations the city works with on a regular basis to improve the quality of life, not only for our city residents, but for everyone in our region. Thanks to the citizens that pull together to paint fire hydrants, pick up litter, donate clothing, donate food, or do whatever it takes to give a hand up, not only to some residents, but our entire community. Exciting times are ahead, especially with Intel's $20 billion investment that was recently announced, just under an hour away. We will position ourselves for growth, starting with a push for the completion of the 4-lane, to residential growth, to commercial and industrial growth in a strategic and responsible manner. The tide is turning back to the good old days, and I'm proud to play a role in this positive direction of progress. I am humbled to be in this position and proud to represent the people of my hometown with honesty and integrity. I'm always ready to listen and respond to issues and welcome citizens to become involved in the decisions and the processes that we put in place. I welcome everyone to please visit our website, cityofcoshocton.com, call us, stop into City Hall. We're here to serve you, and thank you. And hopefully 2022 is even more exciting than 2021 was. Anyone have any questions?
Great job.
Was it 10 minutes? Look, it was 11. Yeah. And now we're going to do a little recognition here for, we've been talking about Rusty for like the past 3 meetings, I think, haven't we? So finally, we're going to, he wrote his own bio, so I'm gonna.
By request.
Yeah, by request.
Actually, by order, it wasn't even by.
He's very
Yeah.
humble. He's very humble, and that's probably what I appreciate most, is he is, when you ask him like, hey, like, tell us a little bit about yourself. And so here it is. He has 20 years in the fire service. This year, 18 years in law enforcement. He has 10 years as a career firefighter between Coshocton Fire Department, and I read this and I was like, man, I wish I was at the beach. He also worked at Murals Inlet, Garden City Fire Department, and Myrtle Beach. Currently, he's the assistant chief for Three Rivers Fire District and a part-time deputy sheriff for the Coshocton County Sheriff's Office. He never sleeps. He has a wife named Jade. 5 kids. I'm always on him about 5 kids, because I'm like, how do you do all this and you have 5 kids? So he never sleeps. So his 5 children, I love the names of kids too. I would have stolen them. I would have had my kids after you. So it's Brady, Emerson, Stella, Fletcher, and Hattie. He grew up in Keene Township and graduated from Riverview High School. We're not going to hold that against him because he lives in Coshocton now. So he is a Redskin and he currently resides in the city of Coshocton. So, and he's previous dog warden. He loves his community. Yeah, I don't know how he fits any time, but he does it, and he does it. And I look forward to the future with Chief Dreher. And at this time, Max is going to recognize Captain Mills, and I like to always say no relation to the mayor. So Captain Mills stepped up when we were going through the civil service process to select fire chief. So Max is going to come up and I'm done talking. No, I wouldn't say I'm never done talking, but Max is going to present Captain Mills with a certificate of appreciation.
Or you can come up as well. So I looked for some type of metal, but the fire never really has a
Supply chain issues.
so you're getting a certificate of appreciation. And you have to know, this gentleman stepped up for what, at least 9 months? And we never lost a beat. He just done an incredible job for the firehouse. Can't tell you how much I appreciate your efforts. You're welcome. So this certificate of appreciation says, this document serves to recognize Captain Rick Mills for going above and beyond the call of duty during the times of March through December in the year 2021. Captain Mills fulfilled the role of chief for 9 months and kept the fire department moving forward during a time of uncertainty and transition in a very successful and professional manner. On this day, February 14th, 2022, the city administration would like to graciously thank you and recognize you for your efforts towards maintaining this vital safety service to the citizens of the city of Coshocton, Ohio. Signed, Mark Mills, Mayor, Max Brown, Safety Service Director.
I'm
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
No more. You said it all.
Come on.
Yeah, you said it.
Tell us a little more about yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You did good, Max.
Chief Dre, are you sure? Because I was just going to invite you up to say a few words if you wanted. So you're good.
I appreciate that, yep. Well, I will. If I go from here. You can go from
That's
here
fine,
first?
yes,
Yeah,
I am.
absolutely. First of all, I'd like to thank council for the invitation today and the recognition, and definitely need to thank my wife. It was a tough 9 months. It was 9 months of studying and taking tests and retaking tests, but I appreciate everybody's support, community support, and I'm looking forward to the future. We've hit the ground running. We've had a busy 6 weeks. We deal with snow just like the public works do, because we got to get around as well. So we appreciate it. And Captain Mills, like the mayor said, did a bang up job for us for 9 months. He kept us going and did a good job. So we appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. Council, you emailed the minutes from the January 24th, 2022 council meeting. I don't know, there was a typo. I saw it, hasn't recognized. It says Edmonds, it should be Edmonds. So it's just one little strike of the pen. She needs to change the D to a T. So are there any other questions or comments on the minutes?
I'd move that they be accepted as presented, or as edited.
I'll second that.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Gardner,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Ischler,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Public input. Is anybody here for public input? Yes, sir. Come up, please state your name and address, please.
My name is Dale Mitchell. I live down there in Coshocton. My comments are for the lack of plowing. The city streets are still terrible. Side streets. I was out. I do have a four-wheel drive. I've lived long enough to realize when to go out and when not to. We got to thank the sheriff department for calling that level 3. Although, like I said, I was not out much. I do realize there are people that do have to be out going to and from work. That being said, the streets are terrible. I understand there was a salt shortage. I posted a comment on social media and got quite a bit of backlash. And the only comment was, did anybody else think that the roads were atrocious? People started calling me, mean, bitter. I have nothing better to do than to gripe and moan and complain. I have lived in several other areas in my life, and I stand before you to offer a remedy for people not utilizing their driveways or garages they have out back or the backyards. Other towns, cities have what they have called a snow emergency route.
With a limit of inches.
I know it's gonna take a long time, but I think this town needs one. I know it's gonna take a long time, you gotta do all kinds of traffic studies.
Yeah.
Traffic patterns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can also, in conjunction with that, have a, traffic ban on certain streets that allow snow removal someplace to put the snow. Although there are several, empty lots that could be utilized.
Can you kind of explain this?
Okay, but, I just wanted to put that forth. I commend the snow plow drivers for doing what they could with what they had.
Okay.
So.
Well, in follow-up to your statements, we just discussed that tonight, and, I know I've been in this town for 20 plus years, and I know since I moved here, this is as much snow that we've had in over 20 years. We had 2 trucks broke down. I'm not making excuses, but I was in Zanesville and on some of their side streets, and they're not that good either. And at another committee meeting, which you're more than welcome to come to, we actually discussed an ordinance with posting snow emergencies. So some of those things, sir, have been addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for him. You have a background in snow plowing?
I did work with those in years past.
Work with, like consulting with them or tell them how to do it? Okay, so you ran a plow?
No, I was not eligible.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, request, does anybody else? Okay. Request from administration for a couple of additions to the agenda. Ordinance 2-22 is at the third reading. We need to table that ordinance to clean up the language. And we need to add ordinance 6-22, authorizing the service director to sign all documents necessary for the city to purchase property at 637 and 641 Popular Street in Coshocton. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we table ordinance 2-22 and add ordinance 6-22 to the agenda.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Fishler,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Any other standing committee reports? If not, Max, you have anything to add? I know the mayor gave his, so you really don't have anything else, do you, Mayor?
No.
Okay. Max?
No more than what we discussed. Committee still working on the recovering from the ice, and now we're into patching potholes.
Right.
So they've done a number on our streets.
Hopefully this week with the warm-ups, we can get some stuff done. So, Law Director, Council, your email, the Law Director's report for January 2022. Mr. Scott, you have anything else to add?
Nothing besides the report unless there's questions.
Anybody have any questions? None? Moving on to the auditor's report. Sherry, I won't steal your thunder tonight, so.
Right. No, I just had emailed you the January items. Amy, you should have all the dates that you need to be reflected in the minutes. And I just wanted to be sure that you notice the general fund cash balance, 739,000. I haven't seen it down that low since I went back to 2017. So I just want to stress again that, I have to be very careful with our general fund. I do have a copy of the detailed stuff that I sent to you, so you have any questions. If not, they just need to be approved.
I know we were all emailed those reports. If I have any questions? For the auditor's report, a motion to accept the auditor's report. So. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Sheriff's report. Sheriff Crawford, he emailed the reports to us. I have them listed as within the city limits report, and then the chart, the city map. Those are always helpful things when people say stuff to me, so. Anybody have any questions for the sheriff? You have any further comments about that?
No, sir, unless in case you have any questions.
Okay, moving on. Income tax report. You emailed the following items from Jackie Cushman: the income tax received, distribution of funds, payroll withholdings for January of 22, business net profit for January of 22, and individual tax return for January of 2022. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Tiffany, you have anything to add?
Nothing in addition to what I had presented at council.
Okay,
Unless you have
thanks
any
for attending
questions.
council tonight, by the way. Appreciate it. Okay. Go into legislation. Legislation at the first reading. I'll ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 4-22.
An ordinance authorizing the safety service director to enter into an agreement with Arcadis US Inc. for the digester improvement project at the water plant, wastewater.
Heard the first reading of ordinance 422. Any questions or comments? Ordinance will take its course. First reading. I'll ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 5-22.
Appropriations.
For the first reading of ordinance 5-22. Any questions or comments?
I'll make the motion to suspend the rules and give it a second and third reading.
Chad seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft,
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Clerk, please give the second reading of ordinance 5-22.
Appropriations.
Questions? Give the third reading, please.
Barcroft. Appropriations.
Question is, should ordinance 5-22 pass? Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 522 is passed. Legislation at first reading. I'll ask the clerk to give the first reading of ordinance 6-22.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to sign all documents necessary for the city to purchase property at 637 and 641 Poplar Street, Stockton, Ohio.
For the first reading of ordinance 6-22. Any questions or comments?
I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules and give 6-22 a second, and third reading.
Moore made the motion. Ross seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Clerk, please give the second reading of ordinance 6-22.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to sign all documents necessary for the city to purchase property at 637 and 641 Poplar Street, Stockton, Ohio.
Any questions or comments? Clerk, please give the third reading of 6-22.
An ordinance authorizing the service director to sign all documents necessary for the city to purchase property at 637 and 641 Poplar Street, Coshocton, Ohio.
Question is, should ordinance 6-22 pass? Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner. Yes.
Ordinance 6-22 is passed. Legislation at second reading. No. No, I think it's second. Third reading. 322 is at second reading. Yeah, legislation at second reading. I'll ask the clerk. Oh, it is third reading. It's the third reading. I'll ask to give the third reading of ordinance 3-22.
An ordinance providing and adopting the 2021-2026 countywide all natural hazardous migration plan preparation by RFG Associates, Inc.
For the third reading of ordinance 2-22, the question is, should 3-22 pass? Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
No resolutions, old business. New business. Communications, I just had something from Samantha Doherty of the administrative assistant. She's the administrative assistant from Coshocton Soil and Water Conservation District. Sent an email for tree cell information. You can go to their tree cell page to look to see if you want to purchase any trees. They got like fast growth, medium growth, slow growth. So, clerk, do we have any other communications?
No.
Clerk's with the date and time of our next meeting.
February 28th, 7 o'clock.
Okay, need a motion for the meeting to be adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
Roger seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Barcroft.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Mishler.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.